Hello, everyone. It's Sunday again, and we're playing Dishonored: Death of the Outsider again. We're, what was it, 3 chapters in? Chewing on the 4th one? Something like that. Hi, Andy. Hi, Ada. How's it going? You're supposed to remind me that to update my stream title in case I'm not in Dunwall. Good point, yeah. Oh well. It's too late now. Since the recording has already started, Twitch will just mercilessly keep the old title and won't change it afterwards. You're wrestling with stencil buffer ops. Oh, have fun there. I remember at one job we had I don't know if you remember, Apple had something called Front Row, which was basically a so-called 10-foot user interface. So if you had your Mac attached to a TV, you could use a remote control to bring up this big, I think on Microsoft it was called Windows Media Center. It was kind of the same idea. So it was this big TV-style interface with like big text, and you could control it with an infrared remote control. And we had something like that in our app as well. And I was the one who implemented the scrolling list view there. And what we wanted was a design where the text kind of faded out at the top and the bottom. And of course, we wanted to clip the list items to the shape of the list as well. So if they scrolled in or out, they would be partially visible as well. And was a great feature on the first generation 27-inch iMac you had. Yeah, those full screen UIs. I miss them. It's kind of sad that Apple just went, well, we are not going to do that anymore. I mean, they're selling the Apple TV now, so you can kind of tell they wanted to give people more reasons to buy an Apple TV instead of a Mac. And I guess if that's the only thing you want, then, that's the better user interface, because, that can never accidentally drop into Finder and you're unable to switch stuff around with your remote control and have to attach a mouse to fix it or whatever. It's just always this full screen UI. But anyway, to do this clipping and fading out, I had to mess with stencil buffers in OpenGL, and yeah, that wasn't too much fun. They shifted gears to the consumer living room market instead of the student dorm accommodation market. Well, technically, I don't think it was a gear shift. Because like the nicest way I've ever heard it put was the day in the 1970s that Apple was founded, their goal was to get rid of this little computer word in their name. So they always kind of wanted to go towards consumer electronics, but they basically saw this computer thing and said, we can make that useful for people at home. It's not 100% a fit because of course, if you know Steve Wozniak, he was a tinkerer. The first Apple computers they built were ones that you assembled yourself, and their idea was kind of to make people learn how to use computers because they were so cool. And kind of the Steve Jobs and modern Apple approach was more was less the learning and more the meet the customer where they are. Which, both have their merits. And I think it's a good thing if you try to simplify and make your computers and your software more accessible. So, and by accessible, I don't mean like the Americans with Disabilities Act or something, but just in general, make it something that a person can look at and kind of understand, if not how it works, then at least the abilities and limitations of the machine, so they're not surprised if they try something and it doesn't work, and they're more looking at it and say, nah, this probably won't work, but let's just try it. Kind of more in that direction. You Just Mean Front Row was made for students with an iMac in their bedroom and no TV. It was definitely useful for those people. And I think to some degree, probably Apple hoped that everyone would just, do away with TVs and buy Macs, and they would start, making bigger Macs, like larger screen Macs, basically. And that just never materialized, and instead they went, okay, we'll add that 10-foot interface as a 10... Oh, you were using made for idiomatically, like ideal for. Okay, yeah, that I can 100% agree. I don't think it was, yeah, good. Because not enough space for both. Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised. No, wait. Wrong end of the chat. Do away with TVs? What's this TV you are talking about? Yeah. It's an old name for streaming. I'm kind of... I actually was thinking about this earlier today. When I grew up, basically 80s, 90s, you could sit down at the radio and just record a song that played there. If you wanted to have a movie or something, you could buy a VHS tape, basically, or something like that, later a DVD. So the thing with those is that, once you had them, you kind of had them. I mean, they wore out after a while, but that was the rarer occasion. So, like, most of the songs I had back then, I have to say, I still had the day I did away with my tape recorder, But I was just able to play them. And now with streaming and these licensing and availability windows, and with all those game subscriptions, I'm kind of wondering if people are losing their history. Like, I have CDs and DVDs up there sitting on the shelf with old games. And, that with many games today, I can't even run them if I don't have a constant internet connection. So, if the publisher goes out of business, like I have Telltale games up there, and Telltale is a customer that went out of a company that went out of business, and there's a new company now called Telltale that has the trademark and the rights to a bunch of their games and sells them under that name, but it's not the same company. And like, if I start these games, they work fine, but their launcher shows this website doesn't exist page for the news content and things that they had in that. So it's TV's like a big box that plays streams from people you don't like. That's an excellent definition. Yes, definitely an excellent definition. Anyway, I've just been wondering, like, I think some of that is just, me being a grumpy old curmudgeon. Like, availability of content in general is higher than it has ever been. Like, I know that, with DVDs, it was like they were available for a few years, and if it wasn't an insanely popular show, they just stopped producing and selling that DVD. And that was, most shows. So when you wanted to get a show that had been on years ago that you just remembered existed, you had to go and actually, buy it used, buy it secondhand. And if you couldn't find it there, then you couldn't watch it. And today, a lot of shows just, they stay available. Even if they're not super successful, they're still being, once they've been made available digitally, they're still being sold as the catalog. They make, Amazon Prime Video kind of uses film school movies and other stuff just to pad out its movie collection, basically. And there's a lot of old movies that you just, get on any streaming service or so. Because they don't really sell, and this way people will say, that looks interesting, it doesn't cost me anything extra, let's give it a look. And then people will maybe even watch it and say, well, that was a B movie, but, it passed the time. And so instead of, not making any money at all, you can get these movies anywhere for cheap and, can just watch them the once that you would have watched it anyway. And so, yeah. So, old movies are actually more available than they used to be. It's just that there's this big break between TV shows and movies that were easy to make available digitally, for example, because they were released at a time where movie distribution was digital, and movies and TV shows from before that, where it doesn't really make financial sense to convert them to digital and make them available, because, nobody is asking for this one TV show that was canceled after 6 episodes because nobody wanted to watch it. There are some that get a cult following and then they capture them. I keep hearing about that cop rock show, which was basically a musical show with a police theme. Really weird, really mismatched kind of, and that's why people talk about it, because they just go like, this was such a weird show, how did that ever get approved? And so yeah, so it has helped with movies, but with and with music it's probably the same, like it doesn't cost that much to capture an album and split it up and add some metadata and make it available. And a lot of that music already exists digitally because it gets licensed for TV productions and things like that. So even the most obscure song, probably finds some use somewhere. So it's just that you have to expect for your favorite song, like if it's your favorite Christmas song, it might disappear from some streaming services over Christmas and another one gets an exclusive or something like that. Um, but apart from that, but how how do people do that if stuff can just disappear? And that's, even with download movies, that's better, because download compared to streaming means that, at least with most download services right now, as long as the download service still exists, you can re-download that movie as often as you want. Or, you've downloaded it and you still have it. So as long as, for example, Apple still has their Apple ID and copy protection servers running, which, should not cost them much, you can always play that, even if it's a DRM protected, like all the movies on iTunes, movie file. It will just, ping the server, go, yep, that's, you're logged into the right account, that computer is authorized for playback on that account, and play it. But Apple is doing a streaming service now, and you can see that all of their software is shifting over to focusing and advertising and making it easy to stream stuff. And it's actually gotten more complicated for me. If I buy a TV show or a movie on iTunes, before that it would automatically download, because, that's what you did with it, to play it back. And now they just assume that your computer and your internet is fast enough to stream it. And if you say, buy it, then that's it. It's just bought, it's credited to your account, and you click play and it will stream the movie, even though you bought it as a download. And so you can kind of see where they are headed, and that you, as a person who buys stuff, is no longer interesting, and they're probably going to eventually try to stop doing that completely. I don't know. I mean, it still makes money for them, I guess, so I don't know whether I'll still be alive when they'll stop actually selling movies. On the other hand, developments like that have been fast. And I mean, when did, I think 2008 was the iPhone, right? So let's say 2005 was probably kind of when iTunes hit. Something like that, maybe 2003. But 2005 is a good number to calculate with. So that means, we're heading for some of the movies and music I bought on iTunes has been there for 15 years, available. And even if Apple lost the license, I can still re-download that stuff. And you don't have that with streaming. So, I'm just kind of wondering, what will happen, because we don't have physical media. So it will probably happen. And everything I've known before, and that's probably the bigger problem, is, has always been, there are physical media available in general, so you can buy something to keep. And it was just, the media changed. First it was reel-to-reel tape, then it was tape cassettes, then it was, even before that, it was records, records, reel-to-reel tape, tape cassettes, CDs, DVDs, and funnily, there's a lot of, try buying a CD player today. Usually you can't. Usually, this, at least what I've seen, was most stores only carry DVD players, which can play back CDs. And so, we're getting kind of there. So it was always a transition from one physical media to the other. Then came, Blu-ray, and that's still kind of around, but Blu-ray never really caught on. But on the other hand, if you look at it, records have made a comeback. And I wonder if something like that, will happen, because things stay around. Like, CDs they're still supported in general. Like, computers don't come with optical media anymore. Most people don't buy players anymore, though. So I don't know how long this will last. But I'm kind of looking at records. I'm almost kind of thinking maybe records and DVDs or records and Blu-ray discs will be the physical media that just stay around as the, audiophile, cinephile media that those people that, spend a little too much money on that stuff will get. Because, like, most people today, they just get some streaming service and listen to their music there. And in general, it's available. And if it's not available, it might as well not exist. Or they go on YouTube where, like, everything is available, because someone uploaded it from some other source or at a time where it was available. And nobody's noticed it yet, so it hasn't been taken down yet. You have a game that technically works just fine offline, but since it supports DLC and skins from Steam, it prevents you from starting the whole game if you're offline, even if you're not using the DLC. Yeah, that's... a lot of games are like that these days. And, I have some games where I was really surprised that that was the case, and, like, where I don't even think they had DLC. But still, it's just the standard behavior of many games now. So if you do not expect to not have internet and, switch your client into offline mode, which kind of makes it, take out a kind of a lease on the copy protection that says, okay, I'll be running these games for about 2 weeks without checking, then you just can't play stuff. Like, I had a internet outage a while ago and thought, oh yeah, I haven't played that game in a while because all the other games that are online and this and that were more interesting. But now that I can't be online, let's continue with this game. And I tried to start it, and it went like, no internet. I'm trying to remember which game it was. I mean, Assassin's Creed and stuff, those have DLC as well, and they have, like skins you can download and things like that. So, yeah, but I don't want to sound like an old curmudgeon, but it kind of seems... It's just something where I realize I have no idea where this will be going and how the future will look. Whether this, what I'm experiencing now, is just a problem I have, and if I maybe even overestimate, how long old stuff exists, because I don't have a working tape deck right now. So while I still have a box full of my old audio tapes, where I could play some songs that I couldn't play before, that I can't find anywhere online and things like that, I'm still, like, it's still in my head, well, you have these songs and you could play it. And what I actually did was, I connected, when I still had a working tape deck, I went and connected my tape deck to my computer's microphone input and just recorded the songs I couldn't find from the tapes into MP3 files. So, some of them I've just migrated, and I have them on my computer, and I can listen to these songs still. So, I don't know, it's it's not really. Um, so I've not really lost anything since I had it on physical media, and I still have stuff on my hard disk. And there are services that will cloud host your music that you upload for you, like just privately, not like I don't know if those services have that, but um, so I think they don't. But like Bandcamp or something, where bands update their songs for the public to listen to. I don't know if they also have private tracks, so you could just upload the records you have and then play them while you're on the road. I probably they have that. It's not that difficult to add that one flag that says only the owner can play this. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's just something I've been wondering about. Like, how long will this stuff last? When we will lose it? Will there be anything left? On the other hand, we've already lost so much. If you look at, even with physical media, like a lot of, at least the Babylon 5 pilot movie was lost to water damage at the WB archives at some point, which is why the special edition of the Babylon 5 pilot movie has a bunch of really different, like they did some really strong cuts intentionally, but they also just had to replace certain scenes because they didn't have the original film for that anymore. And similarly, like the BBC famously, when TV started, it was basically just a way to have theater performances and news at people's homes, without them all having to come in. And nobody thought, about recording really, because that wasn't really a big thing. And so the BBC actually went and, just because they needed the tapes, erased a whole bunch of early TV show episodes. They recorded them and then broadcast them because, they needed to have cuts. But it was kind of just a more involved theater play for them. And so they didn't have the idea, hey, we'll send that same show, we'll broadcast that same show again in a year or something. Reruns weren't really a thing. And so you just, you find that like whole stretches of Doctor Who episodes got lost, either only exist as audio recordings because someone taped the show from TV, which we did back then before we had VHS recorders. We just taped the audio and listened to it and kind of tried to imagine what was going on in the show, and at least that way had a vague idea of what had happened in the previous episode. Or because they had also sold the show into foreign countries, and those foreign countries had kept their tapes. And so they, because they were conversions from PAL to NTSC or something. And so they did back conversions of the NTSC conversions to PAL, and that's what what people in the UK can now watch as a lot of the Patrick Troughton Doctor Who episodes, which were basically mostly deleted by the BBC. If you lose it, will you care? Of course, that's another part. Yeah, there are some things that I have, that I probably don't even remember. And so I might have already lost it because the tapes have gone back or something. And I will just never know. And who lost the moon landing tapes? NASA themselves? I have no idea about that. I know that like a lot of moon rock got like sold all around and things like that, and I think NASA actually had to buy back moon rock from someone to do experiments and things like that. I wasn't aware that of the moon landing tapes that they had been lost too. I know that there was it software or was it... I know, like, some of the data, I think, from the moon landing. I think it wasn't software, but it was like the measurements. I think were saved in some proprietary format at the time that, they had just made up and written raw to, like, some sort of, I don't know, magnetic media or whatever they used. And, they yeah, and so the and so they have the problem that they took the measurements but don't have them anymore to look at them again. So there's a bunch of things like that have already happened. With things like Doctor Who and the Avengers, they surely thought they were one-trick ponies. Who cares about this fast food fantasy stuff? Yeah, that probably too, yeah, because it was fantastic and action-oriented, and that was just seen as lesser. Yeah, definitely. As a child, I once recorded a TV documentary on audio tape and took photographs and thought I was so smart. What are the odds your tape recording and photos are the only surviving records of that documentary? Yeah, that might be, yeah. Billy Lurk is looking rather like the Terminator here. I thought that too, yeah, that glowing red dot here in the eye kind of makes her look very Terminator-ish. That's true. Yeah, anyway, so I guess the only way I can finish this is well, preservation is a good thing. We should probably think about it. If not, like, one thought I had was when I thought about this earlier, that a lot of people like when they're educating their children, when the children ask questions and they tell them about, hey, you can get a movie here, it's just how do you tell, how do you prepare your children for this? How do you tell them that this streaming service, this stuff on there, goes away? And if it does, there's nothing daddy can do to bring back your favorite movie. And either that movie might never come back in your life, or, it might just be that it will take half a year. And I mean, if you've ever traveled with kids and, taken along, I don't know, a portable DVD player or something, and, had, like their favorite animated movies or something, and you forgot one, and that was the one they really wanted to watch right now. What a catastrophe that is to the kids. And kind of teaching them that in the context of streaming is, I think, an interesting problem. Like, you don't want to make them afraid, but maybe you kind of want to instill in them that, this stuff is not that important. And I guess you'll probably have to go through that experience. Terminator theme tune. Dun 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 Dunwall. Dunwall. Do 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 do. Do 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 Dunwall. That's a good one. If anyone complains about my Terminator theme, that was the Terminator series Sarah Connor Chronicles theme, because that's the one I've heard the most, because it has, 20 episodes, something like that. So, of course, just by number, I've heard that the most. Or it could be the other way around, that the next generation says it's just one of many songs, films, why would you want a hard copy of all those volatile things? It could be, yeah. Maybe that's just grumpy old man me, hanging on to certain TV shows and being nostalgic about that, which, I'm a very nostalgic person. That's might totally just be me. I mean, I know a lot of people where, movies, TV shows aren't important to them. They barely ever watch them, and basically it's always just, I watch movies for the story. But if I go to the movie theater, I want to go there with people. I don't go to the movie theater alone, usually. That's just not a thing I do. Then I might as well wait and watch it when it hits streaming, DVD, whatever. But for movies that I think about seeing at the movie theater, usually I also think, I will go later and buy it. At least I will buy it if I haven't seen it. I mean, sometimes you see a movie and go like, that was a nice movie. I don't really need to see it again, and that's it. But then there's other movies where you just think, oh, that was great, I want to watch that again, and then you buy the DVD or buy it on video download, things like that. So I know I'm, in some ways an atypical person because, for other people, going to the movies is not about the movie, or even watching a movie is not about the movie. It's about the time they spend with other people watching them. And that definitely, if I can do that, that's a nice benefit, and that's why I would go to the movie theater. But it's not something, I don't go to the movie theater just to see a film alone. And I know other people who will do that, who want to see that movie right now, and who will go and see it day one, things like that, and who will see it alone if none of their friends come along. And I think I haven't done that since I've had a VHS recorder. Because basically when that happened, it became, you watch that movie and you don't watch that movie at the theater, it will come out in half a year or a year on VHS. So you can always watch it then. Or even, it will be on TV in a year anyway. How often have you rewatched them, though? I swear I said a few years ago, it's good I have these DVDs, I'll rewatch them all next time I'm ill, or if there's like a pandemic or something, haha, and I didn't. Yeah, that's definitely an aspect. Like, I've definitely bought movies that I didn't rewatch, or at least, that I only watched a second time because I went, you bought this movie back then, and you've only watched it once. I guess, for it to pay off, I should watch it again. And on the other hand, there's also a bunch of movies that I have sitting in my DVD shelf which are so widely available that it's just easier for me to just, switch on the browser and watch it on whatever streaming service I'm subscribed this month. But on the other hand, I've had cases where I saw a movie in the list on a streaming service, but, not included in the free stuff or something, an extra, payment or whatever. And then went like, you know what? I want to watch that. I'll go over and take out the DVD. So, I don't know, but I definitely had movies. But, I mean, I think most of the movies I've watched at least 2 or 3 times. It depends a little. Like, I have some TV series that I never really, where I did maybe one watch of the entire show. And from then on, I've only rewatched my favorite episodes. But, with a lot of these, it's that I can't really, you can't really buy the episodes alone. Or in some cases, even, they weren't available anywhere else. Like, those are imported US DVDs or whatever. So, it was just either I can never watch this movie or I buy it. They're just not available for streaming. And so if you have obscure movies like that, then of course, that's I think the majority of the movies I've only watched once. It's the ones where I've been curious, how is this movie? Like, if it's movies some TV show I loved was based on, or movies that had sequels, and I liked, like, one of the later sequels that everyone says are bad. And I actually look at the earlier movies and go like, I don't really like that. I respect them because that's where my favorite movie came from, or the movie I liked in this series. But then I look at the others and go, it was nice for me to have watched them once, but I'll not watch them again. You still like to buy CDs and DVDs, Blu-rays, because they still work with very few caveats. And CDs mostly sit on the shelf because my music collection is digital, but DVDs I still rewatch. Yeah, I kind of do the same thing, like you buy the stuff, you rip it, you then usually play it from your hard disk, which, has the advantages that, you're not scratching up the discs. You can, shuffle play them without having to slot in and out discs. You can, play them in the bedroom while the DVD shelf is in the living room or something like that, and the hard disk with all the CDs on it is in the living room, things like that. So, yeah, there's just a whole, and I mean, I've rebought things that I have on CD on streaming services, or not on streaming, but like on iTunes usually. Like, I've rebought entire albums just because it's less hassle than ripping them and things like that. So, sometimes you just buy it twice because it's more convenient. I totally get that. And yeah, I had stopped that for a while, buying DVDs, because I just went, well, if I buy it off iTunes, I have it as a download as well. but I'm getting more and more disillusioned with like the entire Apple ecosystem because, they're pushing me so strongly towards streaming. And so I actually went and bought a few things as DVDs. Because then, if Apple really turns that stuff off, at least the stuff I've bought on DVD I can still get. I never really got into Blu-ray. Like my only Blu-ray player is the PS4, which is my first and only console. Well, okay, I have a Switch now as well, but like, non-mobile gaming, I guess. But those are the only consoles I own. And so I can play Blu-rays, but I think I own one Blu-ray disc. Like apart from like game discs, of course. Hi Pierre, how's it going? What do you play on Switch? Not much. I have to say my consoles don't get that much use just because I'm really bad with controllers. So I've played a few games on PS4 that I've also streamed here. On the Switch, what have I played? I've played Ultimate Chicken Horse. I've played a little bit of Splatoon. Is that... It might be Splatoon 2? Whatever the current came out last week, Splatoon is on Switch. So I've played a little bit of Splatoon, or Splatoon 2. I think that... I don't own that, but like with a friend when I visited, sometimes I've played a little bit of Mario Kart. Whatever the Mario Kart 6 or whatever the current Switch Mario Kart version is. And that's about it. So for me, the Switch is more something that I can play, like when I'm traveling, which, I've basically not traveled for like 3 years now. I've also what did I want to say? Yeah, I guess it's mostly when I'm traveling or when I'm visiting. That was what I wanted to say. When I'm visiting friends who also have a Switch, and then I play games with them sometimes. So that's basically the main thing I use the Switch for. My biggest problem is that kind of the games I like the typical games I like to play, are mainly, well, either they're available for PC anyway, so I'll buy them on PC because they're from some third-party company. Like The Witcher, I think, is available for Switch now, and Knights of the Old Republic is available for Switch now, and things like that. But I can buy all those for my PC, so I already own them even. So why would I buy them? And the other kind of console-exclusive games I like are usually the kind of things that come out for PS4. So the Spider-Man games, the recent ones, Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales, Horizon Zero Dawn, what else do I have? They're actually over there. Wait, let's do a little show and tell. Might be less boring. Give me a second here. Sorry for the loud sound. Let's just grab... right. Um, First thing, basically my only Blu-ray, I think. I think I might have one other which I was gifted, but this is an 1920s silent movie, which is based on my favorite book. That's basically it's called Dr. Mabuse der Spieler. Um, it's a Fritz Lang movie, so he was a big silent movie director who moved to the US during World War II. Yeah, and so yeah, that's basically my only Blu-ray. Then yeah, Splatoon 2. Did I mention Ultimate Chicken Horse? That's another game I played with a few friends occasionally on the Switch. That game is nice because it has crossplay. So you can play it on PC and I can join you on Switch. And so that's what I did a lot of the time. It's a fun little game with kind of like a platformer where you have to get from a starting point to an end point by jumping. And before the game starts, there's a box full of traps, and every player can grab one and place it somewhere on the screen. And since everyone does that at the same time, it's easy to miss where another player put a trap. And so while you're trying to navigate from one end of the map to the other, you might run into someone's trap and get killed by that. And it has like really cute little animal avatars that you can play as. It's just like flat 2D platforming too, nothing too fancy. It's a really cute game. Okay, then yeah, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, because that's like I could buy the other Uncharted games on PC, but The Lost Legacy was not part of that remake, remaster, whatever it was, port of this, what's it called? Uncharted Legendary Edition or something like that is what you can buy for PC. And yeah, I just heard about like the general story of this game and the lead characters, one of which is voiced by Claudia Black, and went like, okay, I have to play this. So that's one of my PS4 games that I'm still in the process of playing. And I don't know, at some point I might just decide that I've postponed it enough and that I should go and play that on stream. We'll see. Then that's Spider-Man Miles Morales. And I actually have to check. Yes, I also have the other Spider-Man, so both of those. Old Spider-Man and fun Spider-Man, basically. No, I love them both. I grew up with the comics. I did get Fallout 4, but just because I thought maybe it'll be more pleasant to play on the PS4. Because something about the controls felt a little weird, but I've since gone back to actually playing that on PC. Same with LA Noire, which is a really cool game that the controls and kind of how you play it I started playing it and then somehow got a little bit frustrated, so I thought maybe it's better on console. Oh yeah, for the same reason I got Overwatch, but I've barely played it. And of course, since consoles make you pay for multiplayer games, that didn't work. Oh, is it mirrored? Oh yeah, it's mirrored for you. Sorry about that. And I also got Journey, which then a little bit later came out for PC, and I think has since even been free on Epic or something like that. So yeah. But anyway, so those are, like, at the start, like, Horizon Zero Dawn is not in there because I bought that digitally. And when I realized that, you can buy used PS4 games and get everything from them except the DLC, I went and said, okay, I'll buy all my future games on physical discs. Because, basically the disc is just copy protection. You put the disc in the drive, it copies over the first version, then it checks online and says, oh yeah, there's actually a newer version, and then it downloads the newer version. Just as if you had bought the download. But the thing is, if one day I realize I'm not playing this game, which, is the case for this one, and probably this one, and definitely this one, and also likely this one, then I could probably sell those 4 discs if I ever got around to it, and, make a little of the money back. Which I should probably do by now, because given the PS5 is coming out, once that actually becomes available enough, nobody will probably want to buy PS4 anymore. And I've also played a little bit of Star Trek Online on the PS4. Journey is great. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I already know kind of what the trick is and things like that. But yeah, I haven't really sat down and played it yet. Like, when I got it, I popped it in, tried it out a little bit. But I don't know, I need to be in a kind of calm mood, I guess. And since it's available for PC now, I don't think I'll play it on the PS4 anymore. Trick? There isn't a trick to Journey. Well, there is this, let's say there is something about playing the game that not all people are aware of. And in particular, I think that people weren't aware of when it came out. And now, basically, if you see a review or someone talking about Journey, they will kind of spoil that trick, that special aspect. Journey is short, you can play it in one day, it's very meditative and metaphorical. Yeah, I know. It's just, I didn't feel like playing a meditative and metaphorical game recently. Okay, I think I know what you mean, but I don't think it depends on that lack of awareness. No, I think it doesn't depend on that, yeah. And yeah, that spoiler is years old, sure, but like, just men. Like, it's, so it's not as if, I need to play this game now to avoid spoilers or anything like that. I can just choose when to play it, I guess, and that's, there's no pressure behind it, so I haven't gotten around to actually playing it, is all I'm saying. Particularly since I've been feeling like many other games in the meantime. But, I want to get back to that. I think I own the PC version. I don't remember if I bought it or if I thought about buying it and then went, well, I have it on PS4 already. We're gonna make you pressure play now. What was it? I remember another streamer playing it and having really big problems with crashes and hangs. And like, I think they were kind of network related hangs. So the connection to the game server kind of dropped and the game just didn't like that, and was frozen for that. So I'd have to try out whether it even works for me, I guess. But yeah, since you've now said it's short and about what you said, like you can play it in one day, I might keep that in the back of my head for like a special, like weekday stream or something if I ever do one, or hopefully when I next do one. Nothing planned right now. I didn't have any connection problem. I had problems with crying. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cute game, definitely. Like there was a reason I bought this disc. I'm really interested. But anyway, like I did over New Year's, where I did weekday streams, and just did random things I was thinking about. And so yeah, I might just play Journey on that day, on a day like that, whenever I next do that, which might be, well, probably in summer sometime. And then I can just spend a day on that one or two. Switch the webcam off when you play that. Oh, you don't want to see me cry. Journey's about 2 hours long even. Yeah, then that would be an easy thing, even at my, I want to explore everything style, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, so that's basically... I'm trying to think if I bought anything else. I can probably check that as well. Zip. If the battery is still full. Where is it? Oh, right. So yeah, I said Splatoon 2. And let's see if it still has enough battery to turn on. Nope. Battery is empty. Yeah, so Ultimate Chicken Horse, Splatoon 2 are, I think, the games I played on that the most, and a little bit of Mario Kart, so not that much on Switch. I think that was basically all I can say about my tiny console games collection and history. My nose is itching now. Anyway, we've basically spent 1 hour just chatting. So I think we can go now and start playing the game.